How are we doing, guys? Blog of the Hut here, and this is every new vehicle in the Mandalorian so far. This is a full recap. I'm doing seasons 1 to 3 plus season 2.5, aka the Book of Boba Fett. So first off, we have this sleek golden speeder with the built-in astromech and the rear-facing seats, the latest model as it says, and then off it goes. And then we have the clunky replacement model with engines misfiring and bits falling off it. I really loved both of these designs. Obviously kind of heavily influenced off Luke's speeder. You can see it very much recreating that scene from A New Hope as it goes across the ice. But yeah, just classic land speeder design. Then we have this kind of flatbed truck thing with the slot for an astromech. We see it a few times. Here it is in Chapter 3, being pulled on by that unfortunate R6 model before crashing into the ground. And then we've got another one here on Sorgan in Chapter 4. Slightly different exterior, sort of wooden paneling instead of metal, but you still see there the astromech slot in the front. And there's another one here in the Book of Boba Fett. Then I've got this... the child's cot, whatever you want to call it, pram, being pulled along by the Mandalorian. You can see there different features as it follows him along, and then as he can move it away there from the Mudhorn, you see that action a few times used. I love this scene where you can pop it open, but the main reason I'm counting it as a vehicle is we see here in Season 3 that Grogu can pilot it himself. So then we have Queel's Repulsor sled being pulled along by the Blurg there. Pretty strong sled, and we see another one here in the background in the Book of Boba Fett too. So there are two speeder bike models here on Tatooine. They're too close together to separate out. They're just always in the same shot. So on the left is the Zephyr J model, and on the right is the Z12 AVA, both used by Toro Calican and Din Djarin to ride across Tatooine. So the lore is that these are they were sort of top of the line speeder bikes, but they've been stripped down to just the bare basics because otherwise they wouldn't survive on Tatooine. We also see the Zephyr J quite a bit in Season 2 when Mando travels to Mos Pelgo, but we've got a lot of vehicles to get through, so that's enough footage of them for now. Then we have an Imperial troop transport on Navarro. There's a similar model in Rebels, but there's definitely some design differences here, so I'm counting it as its own design. Lava boat on Navarro again. Pretty big long boat with this weird R2 on legs ferryman droid. Must be some pretty strong repulsors and shielding keeping it safe from all that lava. Cobb Vanth's ultra slick speeder pulling up here. I have seen concept art where they were originally planning to use, I think, Sebulba's engine, so I'd taken it as 100% this is Anakin's pod racer engine turned into a cool speeder bike. One cool detail I noticed about when they're filming it is that you always see Cobb taking the lead or in the lead, which I think is a nice nod to the fact that Anakin's speeder was the fastest pod racer ever built. But yeah, just really, really cool design there. Then we have the Quarren fishing boat. You can see a few here in the landing, and then here it is over the water. You notice it's actually on repulsors, so it's not actually floating on the water. It is hovering just above the water, which I thought was a really cool Star Warsy feature. And then you've got this central kind of fishing gantry where they extend in, and here's a nice shot of it blowing up. And then there are a few others. You can see one floating to the left here and two more there in this shot. A few more in this opening shot, but we also see two smaller fishing vehicles of some kind also in this shot here. Then the mobile loading gantry, one here on Trask, fishing the Razor Crest out of the water. And then a couple here on the prison planet. These aren't exactly the same. It's got more of a claw than the crane in the first one on Trask, but I'm counting them as basically the same vehicle. So we see a few of them here moving scrap around. The Mithral's speeder, another sort of X-34 type, but with these three large engines on top. This one gets used quite a bit after it gets smashed up. Then you see it here in the Book of Boba Fett, and again on Glivus in Book of Boba Fett, and a few times more in the background. Then we have the Trexler 906 Armoured Marauder, similar to the troop transport, obviously a lot more heavily armoured, and can really take a beating as it jumps off cliffs and just keeps going and going and going. Some really cool features like the turret and sort of the cockpit, and obviously it can really take a hammering as it grinds up against those walls and smashes through rocks there. And obviously the turret, a pretty cool feature, and obviously it can go at quite a distance as well. I did like this one. Then the HCVW A9.2 Juggernaut transport, very heavily based on the Juggernaut from Revenge of the Sith, which was also based on previous works. But this one's obviously different. It's the transport, not the combat version, so it's got all these modular ones, as you can see them sort of waving as it takes corners. And hunting the Juggernaut are these pirate skiffs. Again, pretty cool design, but one thing I did realise on closer inspection is these are actually the same repulsor sled that Queel has, just with some fins and engines tacked on, which makes me think they're probably some kind of homemade design by these pirates. But I do really like that big engine on the back and those stabilizer fins at the front that give it a really cool kind of rough and ready look as these pirates close in. So Tatooine desert train. I love how every Star Wars project's got to have a train in it now. Cool armor paneling on the side. Just makes sense of like an armored way of getting across the desert safely. I love the design of the engine there, added to the drama of the scene, with the maniac droid pilot as well. And yeah, just really cool design. I love the front of it there, and as it sort of comes to a crash, just the sloping design. And another one here in the finale, moving out of the way to reveal the betrayal of the crime syndicates. Then the classic swoop bike, definitely more of a swoopy design than the speeders seen with sort of the large back chair. Definitely more of a racer kind of feel. Love that we got some nice good shots of it, and of course had to include the classic like a bantha moment. But yeah, I did love the comedy of the Tuscans learning to ride these things and it all just going horribly wrong most of the time. But yeah, just do like the swoop design. And a cool thing I spotted is these bikes also feature in the upcoming Star Wars Outlaws game, so look out for that. You can spot them in the gameplay trailer, and here they are about to get destroyed by Boba. Then we have this fun vehicle. The kind of cargo sleds seem to be specifically designed for carrying rancors. I really like this, just bulky, clunky design with the big sort of mechanical handle there being operated by the rancor handler. Just really rough and ready outer rim, basic design there, but really cool. Then the Grav Scoots. I like them. They were fun. I love the colour, the overall style, the flashiness of them. So we see them in a number of scenes, all with their individual modifications. But yeah, a lot of fun, and just the niftiness of them and jumping over things, and yeah, they're a lot of fun. So we see that they've all been customised. They've all got that basic same frame, and they can take a bit of a beating as well as we see them around. So there's the 4 there used by the main gang, and then there's a few more used by these mods. Then some fancy ones look here on Plaisir 15. Then we have the Mayor's Speeder, land speeder design. I love the side paneling, gave it a really sort of unique feel with the 2 seats in the back. This again is one that gets reused quite a bit. We do see it after it crashes here. So there's another one used by the Pike Syndicate. Then this one here, and actually you see how the side panel opens to let the driver in. Nice little detail there. And another chrome one here about to get smashed up by a B2 on Plaisir. Another train here, and you can see it in the background here on Glivus going across the surface of the city. Then we have this little cargo sled speeder operated by the RX droid. You can see it there checking in passengers' luggage onto the larger Starliner. there with Din bossing it around. And then just to prove that it is a vehicle, you do see it driving into shot here as it arrives on Tatooine. Another speeder bike on Mos Pelgo seems to sort of have bits of the Z12 AVA and the Zephyr J, but definitely its own model, neither one of those, but similarities between them both. Maybe even cobbled together from parts of either to make a custom speeder, possibly on Mos Pelgo. Then we have Fennec Shan's speeder bike. Really like the narrow, compact design. It's got some kind of like turbo boosters underneath, giving it an extra edge. And on Navarro, there's some background vehicles at the newly refurbished spaceport. In the same shot, there's a kind of speeder bike looking thing, very narrow frame in the center there. And I also think it's the same vehicle doing donuts on Mos Espa. In this same Mos Espa scene, we have some new speeders, very kind of V35 looking, but definitely with some bigger engines, more sort of racing modded design. Then we have this poor Rhodian who's getting ripped off with his land speeder being stripped for parts and then repaired by Pelly. Then we have the Spider tank, I believe it's referred, but I don't think that's an official name. Just really cool, scary design as it captures Mando and then walks off on these legs with the pilot there in the head. Really kind of menacing design. It's just really, really creepy. And you can see it here, the head looking around and just those 6 legs and the 2 pincer arms, as well as this sort of smaller manipulator arms in the middle. And then we see it again briefly. You can see it's pretty nifty in combat, but obviously no match for Bo-Katan with the Darksaber. Then out of it comes another vehicle. I guess all these are technically vehicles because they're being piloted by this creepy little thing, but you can see there the sort of the 6 legs and then the 2 sort of smaller manipulator arms and all this kind of organic stuff. I just love the spines on the back as well, just really kind of terrifying into it. You can see them in a bit more detail there. But yeah, just all of it is just really kind of monstrous. But you can see it's just all, I think, designed to pump sort of organic material to whatever creatures in the base of it. And then the last vehicle is, of course, the head, because this thing just keeps on going and it just detaches there. But again, you can see it's definitely a vehicle. So all these little mechanical legs as it scurries away. Then we have this taxi design, similar to the air taxis seen in the prequels, but I've checked and it's definitely a different design. The engines are longer, they stick out a bit more, and it's also got just this smaller 2 lights on the front, whereas the prequel ones have 3 large lights. I've left this in because there's all these background vehicles as well. This is a good time to say that at the end of this video, after I've said please subscribe and all that malarkey, I've just cut in all the raw footage of Coruscant background vehicles, so if you want to watch it, you're more than welcome, but after I've said thanks for watching, feel free to just jump off at that point. But yeah, pretty cool. I like the yellow design compared to the green ones we see in the prequels. Then we have another train, but I did really like seeing public transport in Coruscant, and this was quite a cool one with the engines sticking out to the side and the way it moves through the different levels of the city. And yeah, I love that bit where it dips down. That was just really clever, and the sort of the tenseness of this scene where there's another one passing it there, trying to get away without paying the fare. And just the way we see the different network and all those carriages as it goes across the different districts. And a little bit of a shot at the back of it there as well as they get off. Then this police vehicle might be the same scene in the Clone Wars, can't tell. And then there's a little rebel transport, again, might be the same one, but it might be new, I'm not sure. Then on Plaisir, on this spaceport, there might be some vehicles here. Then we have the Hyperloop pod, the fancy transport system that goes around the city there, going off at quite a speed, but pretty cool, kind of different. It's like almost kind of prequel-y feel to it with all the curvy lines and the glass. But yeah, pretty cool. Another train, I guess. Then in the background in this shot, there might be boats here. Then we have a bunch of different speeders going across in the background of this Coruscant scene. Then IG-12, the custom unit. I was not a fan of them bringing IG-11 back in, but when they turned him into IG-12, all was forgiven. It was all great, and I do like just the complete dorkiness of all this functionality, being able to operate it by two tiny little joysticks. But yeah, it was really, really cool. Part of the series where he's just clunking around, but you know how the operator's got the function of all the walking plus the limbs plus obviously the voice mechanism, which was awesome as well. And then we just see Grogu using a few of the different functions as he's getting the hang of it. So here he's obviously got the grasp of using the arms as well to go pilfer himself some food. Though he's not fully grasped it as he goes about shredding one of these fruit when he's trying to keep it away from Daddy. Then we also see it in its best use for breaking up fights between two Mandalorians. And also that he can use it in combat as well, so they're getting rid of one of those Beskar troopers. And also he's obviously got the hang of using the different functions such as the back spray as well. So yeah, a lot to do with those two little controls, but that was pretty cool. Then next up we have this Mandalorian vehicle, very kind of post-apocalyptic, which is obviously appropriate to their situation, how they've rigged up these sails, and I love how it's got the wheels underneath and these skid things on the side. That was just really nice big open boat design. Very cool with the open space for them all. And then, of course, it goes and gets destroyed by a monster, because that's what happens if you're in the Mandalorian. And lastly, we have this vehicle to the side here. And that is it. Thank you very much for watching. I do have more videos out if you want to subscribe, but if that's it, thank you very much for sticking around. And like I say, loads more Coruscant background vehicles in this scene. There are spaceships mixed in as well. It's just too much to differentiate them, but I'll leave you with that for now, and goodbye.